I never thought I would share this story or become the kind of woman who finds herself in a situation like this. It's surprising how you don't realize what you're missing until someone else shows you. Occasionally, another person can make you feel things you thought didn't matter. That's how I found myself breathless and trembling with a man who wasn't my husband pushing against me. "It's too much. Please go slow," I whispered, my voice shaking as he was so much larger than my husband. I wasn't sure if I could handle it, but once I felt him, I knew I wanted to try. Let me explain how I got here. My husband, Ethan, is a wonderful man, the type that many women dream of marrying. He's reliable, loving, and always puts me first. For a long time, that was enough. We built a life together, creating a home filled with memories. But at some point, everything changed. Our love became routine. The fire in our relationship faded, and our intimacy turned predictable. Always the same position, the same rhythm, and an unspoken understanding that we were not fully satisfied, but too comfortable to change things. I never thought about being unfaithful. The thought never crossed my mind until I met him, Damien. He worked with Ethan, and he had a tall, confident presence that I noticed right away. There was something about the way he looked at me, lingering just a bit too long, and the way his voice dropped slightly when he said my name. He stood a little too close, and his fingers brushed against my skin when my husband wasn't around. I told myself it was harmless, something innocent, but deep down, I enjoyed the attention. Soon, the chemistry between us was impossible to ignore. The stolen looks, the lingering brushes of our skin, and that smirk he gave me when he saw me blush. I knew it was wrong, but I didn't stop it. Then, one night, I crossed a line. Ethan was out of town for work for a few days, and on the very first night, Damien texted me about drinks. I knew exactly what that meant and what could happen if I agreed to go. But for some reason, I didn't say no. An hour later, he stood at my door. The moment I let him in, I realized I couldn't turn back. The air was heavy between us, charged with something intense and irresistible. I didn't have time to think. Before I knew it, Damien had me pinned against the door, crashing his lips against mine. And I let him. I allowed it to happen. He kissed me like he had been waiting for me, and the heat of his body against mine made me tremble with need. By the time we reached the bedroom, I was already desperate for more. I took a sharp breath when I noticed how much bigger and stronger he was. I held onto his arms, feeling a mix of panic and excitement swirl in my stomach. "Damien, it's too much," I whispered, my voice shaky. "Please, go slow." He leaned in closer, his lips brushing my ear as he grinned. "Don't worry, sweetheart. I'll take my time." And he really did. Afterward, I should have felt ashamed, maybe even disgusted with myself. But as I lay there, my body still buzzing and my breathing uneven, I felt something else, relief and satisfaction. It was as if I had finally been noticed, wanted in a way I had always longed for. Damien ran his fingers along my thigh, watching me with that same cocky smirk. "You okay?" he asked. I let out a breathless laugh. "I don't think I can walk." He chuckled and replied, "I'll take that as a compliment." The worst part was, I knew this wouldn't be a one-time thing. Now that I had experienced true satisfaction, I wasn't sure I could ever go back to how things were. Guilt came years later. For a long time, I pushed the memory deep down, convincing myself it was just a mistake that didn't mean anything. Ethan never found out, and our marriage stayed intact. Life went on, but late at night, with Ethan asleep beside me, I couldn't stop thinking about it, about Damien. Every time my husband touched me, I remembered how Damien had felt. Every time Ethan was with me, I sensed the difference, the intensity. Soon, guilt began to consume me because, no matter how much I loved Ethan, I missed that feeling. I wanted it again, but this time, I wanted it with him. The confession that changed everything was something I had practiced in my mind over and over. How could I ask Ethan to change something about himself without hurting his feelings? One night, after a few glasses of wine, I finally found the courage. Ethan was sitting on the couch watching TV when I snuggled beside him, tracing my fingers on his chest. "Baby," I said softly. He looked at me and kissed my forehead. "Yeah?" I hesitated, my heart racing. I nearly backed out, but the thought of never experiencing that pleasure again pushed me forward. Taking a deep breath, I whispered, "I think we should explore some options to improve our sex life." Ethan's expression changed as he frowned. "You're not happy?" he asked. "I am," I replied, "but don't you ever wonder what it would be like if we enhanced things a little?" I could see the moment he understood. He asked, "Are you saying you want me to get surgery?" I swallowed hard. Not surgery exactly, just that there are options out there, procedures that could help. Just a little enhancement. Silence filled the room, a heavy, gut-wrenching silence. I reached for Ethan's hand and confessed, "I love you." This wasn't about my unhappiness. I just felt we were missing something, but then he pulled his hand away and asked, "Am I not enough for you?" My heart ached because I wanted to tell him he was everything to me, but I struggled to express it. For weeks, Ethan hardly spoke to me, and I regretted what had happened. I felt like I had ruined our relationship. Then one night, he came home late while I was already in bed. He sat down beside me and said quietly, "I've been doing some research." I was curious and asked, "Researching what?" He met my gaze with his serious blue eyes and replied, "Enhancement procedures." My heart dropped. I told him he didn't have to do that, but he interrupted me saying, "If it'll make you happier, I want to try." A mix of emotions swirled inside me. I felt unworthy of his love and willingness to change. Yet deep down, I wanted him to go through with it. The process took months filled with consultations, discussions, and doubts, but I supported him all the way. When we finally experienced it for the first time, I could tell the difference. Ethan felt bigger, and he used it with confidence. When he slid inside, I gasped, my nails digging into his back as I begged him to take it slow. He teased me softly, saying, "You asked for this, so now you're going to take it." And I did, relishing every intense moment. When it was over, I was left breathless and completely overwhelmed. Ethan looked down at me with a satisfied grin, playfully tracing circles on my stomach and asking, "So?" Words couldn't express how I felt, so I pulled him in for a kiss. In that moment, for the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about anyone else. I knew I wouldn't need anyone but him from that point on.